The world has been whispering for years, crafting stories around my silence, painting pictures of a love they could not understand. But tonight, under the same moon that once watched us share our first unspoken promise, I will break that silence. This is not gossip, nor confession, it is my truth. The woman I adore is not merely someone who caught my eyes. She is the echo that lives within my heartbeat, the calm to the storms that crown my soul. She came like a quiet poem, without noise, without intention, yet she changed everything I believed love could ever be. They say a royal's heart belongs to his people, and it does, but a man's soul belongs to one. And she, with her grace softer than dawn and her strength sharper than desert wind, holds mine entirely. In every verse I've written that speaks of hidden tenderness, in every silence between my lines, it was always her shadow that stood beside me. I have watched her from the edge of duty and devotion, and I have found that no title, no kingdom, no fame compares to the warmth of her presence. The world may call this love forbidden, mysterious, or divine, but to me, it is simply human, pure, fragile, and eternal. She taught me that vulnerability is not weakness, that even a prince can tremble before beauty not seen by the eye but felt by the soul. When I first wrote of her eyes like prayer, I wasn't being poetic, I was confessing. Her gaze holds verses that no poet could ever capture completely, and perhaps that is why I write, to immortalize what I can never fully explain. She is not the woman of luxury, nor the face of the palace walls. She is simplicity clothed in elegance, quiet strength that refuses to fade. I adore her not for the way the world sees her, but for the way she sees me, without crown, without name, without the weight of the world. In her silence, I am heard. In her presence, I am home. And if the world asks why I, Sheikh Hamdan, speak of love so openly, it is because hiding her beauty feels like denying the truth of my existence. I remember the first time I saw her. The air itself seemed to pause. The desert wind slowed. The light bent differently. I felt it then, something sacred and dangerous blooming inside me. It wasn't lust, nor fleeting fascination. It was recognition, as if I had waited centuries for her soul to arrive in this lifetime, just so I could love her once again. Some say we meet our fate unexpectedly. I say we always know when it finally arrives. There were moments I wished to tell the world her name, to let her know she was not a secret but a story worth shouting to the stars. Yet love, the truest kind, asks for protection more than praise. So I built walls around her image, not to hide her, but to keep the world's chaos from touching her peace. And now, as I stand before the truth of who I am, I realize that my poetry was my confession all along. Every verse that trembled with longing was her reflection. Every silence between my words was her breath. There are nights when I sit by the water and whisper her name to the wind. It feels like prayer. The waves return her name back to me, softer, purer, as if even nature itself acknowledges her existence within my heart. I adore her not because she is perfect, but because she is real in a world that demands illusion. Her laughter, her tears, her flaws, all of them are notes in the song that keeps my spirit alive. I have been called a poet, a prince, a dreamer, but none of those roles define me as much as being hers does. My people see me as a leader. She sees me as a man who sometimes gets lost in his own thoughts. That is her power. She strips away the noise and leaves only the truth. When I write of courage, I think of her. When I write of faith, I remember how she believed in me even when I doubted myself. To the world, this might seem like an announcement, but to me, it is an acknowledgement, a bow before the sacredness of love. I have learned that love is not possession. It is liberation. She has taught me that to adore someone is to let them fly freely, knowing that even across oceans, the soul always returns home. And so, my official statement is not to claim her, but to honor her. For every poem I will ever write from this day forward, know that she is the ink behind it. The rhythm of her heartbeat aligns with mine. And even when I stand before the world as a royal, my spirit kneels before her. She has changed my perception of love, turning it from a word into a living presence. And in that transformation, I found not only her, but myself. To adore someone is to surrender to the unseen. It is to walk through darkness knowing their light will find you. She has been that light. In my loneliest nights, when the stars feel too far away, I remember her voice, her calm, her faith. She taught me that even a man of power must sometimes bow before tenderness. And in her tenderness, I found eternity. Let this be written not as a headline, but as history, not as rumor, but as revelation. For love this profound deserves truth. If my poems ever made you feel that love is still alive in this world, it is because she breathed that life into me. She is the unnamed muse, the reason behind every emotion that drips from my words like rain from desert clouds. And if destiny allows, one day the world may see her, not as the woman I adore, but as the reason my soul survived its own storms. Until then, my poems will continue to speak where my lips remain silent, for poetry is how I touch her, even when distance keeps us apart. My verses are the bridge between two hearts that beat in secret but live in truth. So here it is, my official statement: I adore her, with the kind of love that no throne can command, no time can erase, and no power can define. She is the poetry I never finished, the promise I will keep for as long as I breathe. And if the world ever wonders who she is, tell them this: she is the reason Fazza still believes in love. Her presence is like a secret sunrise that blooms before the world awakens, a private light that only my heart can see. In her, I find the courage to be soft in a world that demands strength, to be human in a life that has been shaped by duty. Every time I write her into my verses, I feel as though I'm carving her essence into eternity itself, an unspoken vow that long after my voice has faded, the world will still feel the warmth of her name through my poetry. She is not a chapter in my story. She is the ink that makes the story possible. Sometimes I imagine the day when the desert wind carries our names together, when the world no longer sees us as mystery but as destiny fulfilled. Until that moment arrives, I will protect this love as one guards a sacred flame, because love, real love, does not demand spectacle, it demands truth. And my truth is that I would choose her again in every lifetime, even if it meant waiting centuries to feel her hand in mine, even if it meant whispering her name only to the stars. They ask who my muse is, he added softly, but I tell them, she is not a person. She is a prayer answered. That line rippled through the audience like a wave of emotion, leaving them stunned by the beauty of his vulnerability. Then Fazza smiled, that familiar gentle smile that carried 1,000 untold stories. If I could gift the world one thing, he said, I would give them the ability to love like she taught me, to see the sacred in the ordinary, to find poetry in pain, to heal without forgetting. His eyes glistened again, reflecting both light and loss. Because love, he continued, is not about who stays, but about who leaves a trace so deep, you carry them even in your silence. Those words pierced through the hearts of every listener, for they carried the kind of truth only those who have loved deeply can understand. He looked toward the stars then, his voice softer now, more like a whisper carried by destiny. When I write, I am not writing for fame or for praise, I am writing to keep her alive in the rhythm of my words. My poetry is not a confession, it is a